Hello, welcome back to 61st Quest Official. Today we are diving into an incredible instructive battle from round 3 of the 59th Biel International Chess Festival 2026, and this is the Masters Final featuring Vietnamese Super Grandmaster Quang Liem against one of the brightest young stars in world chess, the Turkish prodigy Yagiz Kaan Erdogmus. Liam is renowned for his positional mastery, impeccable endgame technique, and deep opening preparation. Across the board stood 15-year-old Erdogmus, already one of the youngest players to cross 2700 and rapidly establishing himself among the elite. What followed was a fascinating strategic battle that swung several times. Both players had chances to seize the initiative, but both missed winning opportunities. So let's break down every important moment of this game. D4 and E6. Lei begins with unusual positional approach. Instead of immediately entering the queen's gambit, Erdogmus chooses a flexible setup. Now C4 and bishop to B4 check. The Kangaroo Defense. This is not seen very often at the elite level. The idea is simple: exchange the bishop, slightly disturb white's development, and avoid heavy theoretical battles. Now bishop to d2 and bishop takes d2 with a check. Now queen takes a d2 and knight to f6. Black voluntarily gives up the bishop pair. Normally bishops are valuable. However, black believes white's queen recapture slightly slows a development. Evaluation remains completely balanced. Now g3 and kingside castling and bishop to g2. Lei chooses a Catalan style fianchetto. This setup aims for long-term pressure, excellent bishop activity, and a flexible pawn structure. Now d5 and knight to f3 and c6. A very solid move. Black builds a classical center. There are no weaknesses so far. Now queen to c2 and knight b to d7. White goes for kingside castling and b6. Now knight b to d2 and bishop to b7. Excellent development by white. Both players have finished the opening with virtually equal positions. No mistakes so far. Now b4. Lei expands on the queen side. The plan is clear. Gain space before black finishes development. Now a5. Excellent reaction. Instead of allowing white to dominate the queen side, black immediately challenges the pawn chain. Now a3. Now d takes c4 and knight takes c4. Everything remains under control. Both sides are following logical strategic plans. Now a takes b4 and a takes b4 and c5. Excellent central break. This is the first energetic move by Erdogmus. Instead of defending passively, he opens the position while white's queen side is slightly extended. A very strong practical decision. Now d takes c5 and b takes c5. And b5. White gains space again. At first glance, this looked dangerous for black. However, bishop to d5. A very strong improving move. The bishop occupies a perfect square. It pressures e4, c4 and the queen side. Black's pieces suddenly becomes very active. The engine begins preferring black. Now knight f to d2, supporting the c4 knight. A very logical move. White wants to reinforce c4 and reposition pieces. Now rook takes a1 and rook takes a1, knight to b6, putting more pressure on the c4 knight. Excellent sequence. Black exchanges an active rook, then activates the knight. Now every black piece is coordinated. The evaluation jumps close to plus 1.2 for black. This is black's final significant advantage. Now knight takes b6. This is a force move. Otherwise the knight becomes extremely strong. Now bishop takes g2. A very nice tactical decision by Erdogmus. Instead of retreating, black removes white's powerful bishop. The bishop pair disappears while white's king becomes slightly exposed. Now queen takes c5. This is white's first major mistake. The engine evaluation crashes roughly to plus 1.5 for black, back to complete equality because white becomes too materialistic. Instead of fixing positional problems, Lei grabs the pawn. The better move was knight b to c4. This move would have improved coordination, protected important squares, and reduced black tactical opportunities. The game would still be unpleasant, but white would remain solid. Now queen takes d2. Excellent punishment. Black invades immediately. The centralized queen becomes extremely active. Now king takes g2 and queen takes e2. Black wins another pawn. Materially, black has done very well. Now queen to c4, white offering a queen exchange. Now queen to e5. Black is not willing to exchange the queens. Black centralizes the queen. Everything still looks under control. Now rook to a8, a very clever move. Lei forces simplification. This is one of his trademarks. When under pressure, he searches for the most resilient endgame possible. Now rook takes a8 and knight takes a8 and king to f8. Suddenly white's knight reaches the rim, but don't underestimate it. That knight will soon become the game's hero. Now b6, excellent move. White creates a dangerous pass pawn. This completely changes the evaluation. Now king to e7 and b7. Now black has a serious problem. The pawn is one square away from promotion. Instead of attacking, black is now defending. The momentum has shifted. Now knight to d7. Correct defensive move. The knight attempts to blockade. Now knight to c7. A fantastic maneuver. The knight jumps back into the game. Suddenly white's pieces dominate. Now queen to d6. This is the biggest mistake of the game. The engine evaluation jumps from equality to almost +3 for white. Black throws away almost everything. The correct move was knight to b8. The knight should immediately attack the promotion square. That defensive resource would have maintained equality. Instead, the queen move allows white's pieces complete freedom. Now knight to a6. A beautiful move. The knight supports promotion. The b pawn cannot be stopped easily. White is almost winning. Now queen to b6 and queen to c8. Excellent coordination. Everything points toward pawn promotion. The engine gives white nearly +3. At this moment, Liam is completely winning. Now queen to d6. Black cannot play queen takes a6 because white will then play queen takes d7 check. So king is forced to take the queen, and then white can simply promote the pawn and can make it a knight and create a fork and win the queen. So black plays a queen to d6 and knight to c7. Now everything changes again. This is white's biggest mistake. Instead of maintaining the winning setup, Lei repeats the knight maneuver, allowing black to activate the queen. The evaluation immediately drops from +2.8 to 0. One move completely changes the game. Instead of that, the engine preferred h4, a quiet move because it prevents perpetual check ideas. This is classic endgame technique. Sometimes the strongest move is not tactical, it is simply giving your king breathing room. So after h4, white would likely convert the pass pawn on b7. So now queen to c6 check. Here black escapes. Excellent practical defense. Now black's queen becomes extremely active. Now king to g1 and queen to c1 check. Now king to g2 and queen to c6 check and king to h3. White's king begins running. Instead of attacking, white is forced to defend perpetual checks. Now queen to b6 and f3, trying to hide. Still no escape. Now queen to c5 and knight to a6. Now queen to f5 check. A perfect accurate move. Black now knows exactly what he wants. Perpetual check. Now king to g2 and queen to d3. The queen controls every important square. White cannot coordinate. Now b8 queen. White finally promotes, but promotion comes with a price. The king remains exposed. Now queen to d2 check. King to h3. Queen to h6 check, king to g2, queen to d2 check, king to h3, queen to h6 check, and king to g2. Beautiful defensive technique. The queen continuously checks from alternating squares. White cannot hide. The perpetual is unavoidable, and it was in this position both players agreed for a draw. Now let's take a look at what both players missed. Black's missed chance after move 20. Black had excellent practical chances. The position was easier to play. However, queen to d6 allowed white a nearly winning position. Simply playing knight to b8 would likely have secured complete equality and possibly better practical chances. White's missed win was after knight to a6 and queen to c8. White was winning the quiet move. h4 on move 30 would have prevented perpetual checks. Instead, knight to c7 allowed black's queen to become active, throwing away the advantage immediately. Now let's take a look at the game summary. This was a game of constantly shifting momentum. The opening remained balanced. Black gradually outplayed white in the middle game. White defended resourcefully and created a dangerous pass pawn. Black blundered into a losing position. White failed to find the precise winning technique. Black demonstrated excellent defensive skill and saved the game with perpetual check. It's a perfect example of how one inaccurate move can completely change the evaluation even at the super grandmaster level. The opening was equal. In the middle game, black was slightly better, and after queen takes c5 on move 20, it was equal again, and after queen to d6 on move 27, white was winning, and after knight to c7 on move 30, black was equal, and the result a well-earned draw after dramatic swings. What a fascinating battle from Biel 2026. Both Liem and Erdogmus showed why they belong among the world's elite, but this game also reminds us that even super grandmasters can miss critical winning chances under tournament pressure. So what do you think about the game? Was it h4 on move 30 the key winning move for white, or did black deserve full credit for finding the perpetual check resource? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this in-depth analysis, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to 64 Squares Official, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our detailed breakdowns of the biggest games from the world of chess. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.